Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 140 of the All Dolphins podcast on this Monday, November 27th.
I doubt you have any sexy players for 40.
I did
Just
the first time we went around, and I can't use him. That was safety Dick Anderson from the Super Bowl Dolphins. The guy you met on the plane who was giving you crap for not
always
knowing.
forget that dude.
Okay. Well, we can't go with him because we did the first time. I'm going to go with another safety with a unique place in Dolphin lore named Mike Kozlowski, who had two pick sixes in the same game, which, like Javon Holland did against the Jets, was on a Friday against the Jets. How's that for a tie-in?
Interesting. All right.
1983.
83. I was a young whippersnapper, just freshly out of my diapers. No, I was probably in I was probably in elementary school.
I won't even tell you how old I was.
You running the South Florida streets or the Canadian streets?
No, I was here by then.
Oh, okay.
In fact, I was very, very, very early in my journalism tenure, but I was nowhere near allowed the Dolphins. So I was covering high school sports.
Okay.
So anyway, yeah, it was a Friday. I don't recall why they played on a Friday, unlike 2005 when that game was because of a hurricane forced the moving of the game. And of course, the first ever Black Friday game last Friday. So anyway, hat tip to Mike Kozlowski. Safety. I don't know how they got him. I don't remember that far back. So
nobody cares.
Nobody. Well, some do actually. There are some who remember Kozlowski. 2 pick sixes in one game. Very impressive. By the way, and somebody else who did that for the Dolphins was your good friend Dick Anderson, who did it 10 years earlier in 1973. So,
you and these numbers and statistics in history, something to be very impressed with.
Thank you. That's just
right now we're looking at an 8-3 Dolphins team who coincidentally happened to be 8-3 last season. The running theme that I kept asking players today was, what will make this season's 8-3 start different than last season's? What did you learn from that experience?
Before you continue, if I may, I literally wrote a story on alldolphins.com why this 8-3 is so different.
Yeah, and I read it and was just like, I want answers.
I gave you answers as to why 8-3 is different, but by all means, go ahead and tell me what you have come up with.
No, I haven't come up with anything of substance. And you can find Alan Poupard's, it was kind of column-y, considering, yeah. What makes you feel, to summarize your perspective, that this 8-3 is different than last year's 8-3, other than the fact that they've got a quarterback?
They had a quarterback last year, but what?
Yeah, for how many games? But continue.
He was there. He had played 5 straight games when they got to 8-3. I don't remember for sure, but I believe he was among the passer rating leaders like he is this year. The difference with Tua from last year to this year is there's been no injury problem so far this year as there was last year. That's number one. Number two, the schedule, very obviously, because when they were 8-3 last year, they were headed into the gauntlet of the 3-game road trip against the 49ers, Chargers, and Bills. This year, the 3 games they got coming up is Washington, Tennessee, and the Jets. Not the same thing. They're also, overall, they're healthier. And then last but not least is their defense is a lot better at this time than it was last year.
Yes, their defense is ranked 7th. Their offense is ranked number 1. You're a top 10 team in both areas of the game. You should still continue to be a good team. However, they've got issues and problems that they need to address. One, the offense isn't humming like it used to be humming. And that's one of the questions and concerns that the Dolphins have going into this week. Obviously, there are injuries to the offensive line that should be concerning to everybody, including Teron Armstead's quadriceps injury. Mike McDaniel said that if they needed him in that Jets game to finish it out, he would have played. But he's more careful and cautious about Teron because he knows Teron is tired of the reputation that he cannot play an entire NFL season and wants to finish the season on the field. If that meant playing at 70%, c'est la vie, so it will be. And it sounds like Mike McDaniel is going to be usual Mike McDaniel and be a little bit overcautious when it comes to Teron Armstead. And he's confident that he's got Kendall Lamb, and Kendall Lamb has played quite well in his place.
Except that Kendall Lamb is also dealing with an issue where Mike McDaniel said he's optimistic he could play Sunday against Washington, except there are quote unquote obstacles to that, to that happening. So is it one of those deals where if Kendall Lamb's back is okay, then Teron take the week off? And if Kendall Lamb's back is kind of bucking, then Teron go ahead and do us a solid and play.
I don't know if Mike McDaniel's into any doing a solid in play. I think they would rather roll. He would rather roll into the game with Keon Smith as his starter than jeopardize Teron Armstead suffering a setback. Just a hunch.
No, I agree. If that's what it means, yeah. If it's a matter of playing with pain, that's one thing. If it's a matter of risking aggravation, then absolutely. And
it's a soft tissue injury. Of course, it's about.
They're playing Washington. They're 9.5-point favorites.
When is this team not nearly a double-digit favorite? Jesus Lord.
So what?
When is this team not a double-digit favorite?
Correct. And this is where you and I should throw it out there beforehand that because I read the comments after our videos.
You think that I don't?
Well, I know I was speaking for myself right now. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So we read the comments. I can tell you there's a lot of people who think we're too negative. I'm going to tell you they're going to win Sunday. So I'm looking big picture because again, I have high expectations for this team. I think the possibilities are very, very intriguing for this season. And therefore I'm not just thinking about, oh, cool, they beat Washington to go to 9-3, which would be awesome. And obviously the next step, but I'm looking down the line, what can happen. And I totally lost my initial point that I was going to.
I would like to address the fact that we are too negative.
We're not. Get it? Too negative? Sorry.
If your perspective is that you think that this Dolphins team is just a playoff team and you would be satisfied with one win, then my humble apologies. We're too negative. Now, if you think that this Dolphins team is positioning themselves to be a Super Bowl contending team and need to make it to at least the AFC championship game, then we're not being negative. We're being realists. Because right now, this team, while as good as they are, as statistically impressive as they are, I don't think anybody would say that they're playing very well on offense. Now, they're playing very well on defense, and they're trending in that right direction, but they're not playing well on offense. And I think we saw some signs of concern in the Jets game, too many turnovers. And then we saw some areas of improvement, the run game, the running with power, the being able to finish with a 4-minute offense, which is something that this team has talked about, wanting to establish, wanting to get back to, wanting to emphasize. These backs are tired of Mike McDaniel calling passing plays and shotgun plays on 4th and short, 3rd and short situations. And they want to say, hey, we can get the job done, put it in our hands. And also, Tua Tagovailoa was very efficient on 3rd downs against the Jets, which is a pretty good defense. Now, the question is, can those things be built on? Can the turnovers be cut down? Can the run game be juiced up? Can Miami develop a short yardage rushing attack? Because I think that these are all things that need to get done in order for this team to get to the 12 wins that it'll probably take to host most of the playoff games in the AFCs and to take that next level and become a Super Bowl contending team. I think they're a pretty good team. Am I ready to say they're Super Bowl contenders at this point? No.
No, and it's not like we're poo-pooing the kind of team the Dolphins have. Dolphins are a good team. They're not 8-3 by accident. They're a very good team. And by the way, I threw out this nugget on Twitter today. Their 3-game lead in the loss column through 11 games is a first by an AFC East team other than New England since 1991.
Okay.
That's 32 years since anybody other than New England has had a 3-game lead in the loss column through 11 games.
They've had a 2-decade reign of terror over the division.
But it's completely crazy regardless. I mean, it's 32 years. Anyway, And the last time it was the Dolphins who had that, it was 1984 when they started. They were 11-0 through 11 games, and they went to the Super Bowl. So this is a very good team. I did a Dolphin playoff picture update, as I will do every week. And yeah, how many wins is it going to take? Kansas City is annoying again, and it was, of all the things that happened yesterday around the NFL, that was the most discouraging from a Dolphin standpoint. Is that KC looked like KC again? They got down 14-0 pretty quickly, and it was like, oh, wait a second, is there a chance the Raiders actually could upset them and then get them off that top perch because they own all the tiebreakers? They beat Jacksonville head-to-head. They beat the Dolphins head-to-head, and they have a better conference record in Baltimore. But no, and then they came back, and the rest of the game was 31-3 for the Chiefs. And that's problematic because you look at the rest of their schedule, kind of tough to see losses in there. So we're staring at the very real possibility of, yet again, unless somebody can knock them off in the division round, of the AFC title game being at Arrowhead Stadium.
Hold on. Because I still think that Baltimore is probably one of the best teams, as you've even pointed out, one of the best teams in the AFC.
Sure.
I think they'll be in the mix, that they'll be in that final conversation. I think Jacksonville, even though I think they're kind of fraudulent, I think that they'll be in the mix just because of the division that they play. They don't have that many tough opponents left. And I know this is hard for people to realize, but I think even though the Buffalo Bills just lost a tough game, what's I look for?
No, I don't know what you're going to say about Buffalo.
I think they're going to make the playoffs. I think you think they just played the best team in the NFL, arguably records wise, and took them to overtime and really lost that game because Jalen Hurts put a cape on, and the run game just absolutely, the Eagles run game was extremely forceful. But I see Buffalo as a team that could play with them right now, with a Super Bowl contending team right now.
Except Buffalo has Charger disease right now, is that they can't close the game. I mean, they can't. Their defense. That's three games this year where their defense has led in the final drive to win, and it also, and to show you, it's one of those years for them. Ask how many times Jake Elliott's going to make a 59-yard field goal in the rain. I mean, that's a crazy kick.
It was.
Yeah. So
I tweeted out immediately, Jason Sanders can't kick that.
I know, I saw that. I was like, wow, man, you're doing that man dirty. Right after he kicks a season-long 54-yard field goal. But I see the Bills could be a factor in terms of a playoff opponent. Dolphins are winning that division. That's if they don't, it might as well fold the franchise. I mean, it's like, I mean, seriously.
No, but yeah. You basically have to take care of business and in this upcoming stretch, and you do that. But I swear to God, I think this season's going to come down to the final 3 games, and it's going to include Buffalo. And Buffalo, imagine if Buffalo, not only you play in the season finale, but you're playing them, you're hosting them in the first round of the playoffs. I'd be shivering in my timbers, just because I don't like that matchup. And you saw what happened the first time. Now, certainly not the same Buffalo Bills team, but neither are you. You're not the same Miami Dolphins team. So, but there's rooms and areas of improvement that this team needs to make. And it, to me, again, it starts in the trenches. It starts with the offensive line. That needs to be stabilized. Robert Hunt needs to get back into the lineup. He's probably going to have, I believe, a full month off if he doesn't play on Sunday. And coming back from left.
When did he get hurt, KC? Got hurt against KC, right?
No, I think he got hurt the week before because they had a bye right after KC. He didn't practice. He didn't practice in KC. He got hurt the week before. He didn't practice in Germany.
So it's been a month already.
Mm-hmm. So got to get him back in the lineup. Obviously, Teron Armstead, we're probably going to put him on ice. Kendall Lamb has started 6 games. He's shown that he's more than capable. And that guard spot, I mean, that left guard spot seems to be stabilizing right now with Lester Cotton. It'll be interesting to see if Liam Eichenberg, who's played pretty well the last 2 weeks at right guard, gets back into that left guard mix. Who knows what's happening? But to me, the most important thing is this is December football, and in December football, you play defense, you run the ball. And I think that this Dolphins team needs to get better at both in order to rebrand themselves as a physical team. You're already a physical team on defense. Let's turn up the volume on that physicality on offense, kind of balancing out what you are and who you are.
Do we really think, though, that Dolphins will ever, their identity offensively will not be, and this is to me the way the offense is constructed, and I know we've had this discussion before, Tim, is it's built around the speed and the creativity and the play calling. This is not a power team, and the offensive players involved in this. I know Jeff Wilson Jr. and Alec Ingold spoke on Monday, and very obviously they're going to be talking and say the right things about that's what they want. But you look at all the best players on the Dolphin offense. Who is it? Tyreek to Jalen Waddle, and Raheem's in that mix, but it kind of clearly, three of your four top players.
Well,
I don't know that the Dolphins can just turn that switch. I think they need to be able to do certain things in the running game. And, for example, convert in short yard situations. Like somebody made the point, that's one of the big things that separates the Eagles is they're in short yardage. It's an automatic first down.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to address the KC thing real quick because I know you mentioned Baltimore. Baltimore still has to play at San Francisco. And I'm with you. I think they're the most balanced team in the AFC. But they have to play at San Francisco, which is the most balanced team probably in the NFL. Or close to it. And I look at KC again. It's KC's got at Green Bay, Buffalo at home, at New England, Raiders at home, Cincinnati at home, and at LA Chargers.
Yeah, what I didn't like about what Kansas City's schedule is most of their tough games are at home, which is cool.
Correct.
What's Baltimore's stretch? Do you know that?
I'm sorry?
What's Baltimore's closing stretch this season?
Look real quick here. I apologize for leaning in. Baltimore has, I will put on my glasses here because I'm blind and I can't see. So they have a bye this weekend versus LA Rams. They're at Jacksonville, at San Francisco. They host the Dolphins, and then they host the Steelers.
At Jacksonville, at San Francisco. Steelers are going to be a tough out.
Oh, yeah.
Hosting, okay. There's some stumblage. There's some room for stumblage there.
Yeah. So this is why, in terms of schedule, again, any given Sunday, I get all that, but especially down the stretch, your upsets are not quite as frequent. Kansas City is going to be favored pretty solidly in every single solitary game they have left.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm saying I'm like bracing myself for my Chiefs fatigue syndrome, my CFS to kick in, because I'm tired of them being always at home in the AFC Championship game. It's been like 5 years in a row, and I'm over it already.
All right.
I know you don't care. I care from a football fan standpoint. Somebody else. I want the AFC title game somewhere else this year.
That somewhere else has got to earn it, and I'm highly not optimistic that it's going to be the Miami Dolphins, but we shall see. Let's talk about some of the other things discussed. Mike McDaniel, and you can find this story on alldolphins.com, clarified a story that Al Michaels shared in regards to his how he lured and courted his wife. According to the Al Michaels story, Mike McDaniel basically deboed his now wife from a running back, basically saying, "Hey, stop dancing with this girl, or I'm not sure you're going to be on the team next year." And Mike said that in jest, one, he had no control over who was going to be on the team, and it was a Dennis Green team. Did you know that? I had to do a lot of research.
Yeah, it was in the United Football League in 2009, maybe.
And Dante Culpepper played for that team too, which I found very interesting.
Oh, was that at the very end of his career? Yeah, that would make sense.
Mm-hmm. But Mike basically said, "Hey, it was a joke." The running back knew it was a joke, said in jest, and lo and behold, ultimately, he would basically call in dibs on her, and and he closed the deal. So that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
When
Yeah,
you see,
14 years later, they're married with a child. So obviously, it worked out.
yeah, but he was painting a pretty nice picture as opposed to trying to come across as what he called a d bag, which I could understand. It was a cool story. I mean, I
There
understand
was
looking for
no.
sight.
The thing is, I've never heard of the running back that he mentioned, and it would be great to get the story from his angle.
Yeah. I actually looked him up, and Mike McDaniel, his name isn't what Mike McDaniel says it was. But it was close. It's Steve. Mike McDaniel called him Steve, and his name is Steve, and he called him by the wrong last name, but it's close enough. Um, and he lives in Orlando, or he's from Orlando, which I would love to do that reporting as well to find out what the true story was. But the bottom line is he saw something he wanted in the club as they were celebrating a win, and he basically put on the full court press to make sure that it happened and locked it down, and he did. I keep hearing about these dance moves. I would love to see them at one point in my life, and he says it was definitely the dance moves.
There you go. Was it a full court? Was it a full court press or was it a blitz? Football analogy. Come on, Omar. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's a blitzing situation that you could do in with a woman. Anyway,
well, maybe he blitzed the other guy out of the way to get to the woman. There you go. Anyway,
free rusher.
Yeah, but you may get to see his dance moves if the Dolphins win the Super Bowl. I think you ask him to do that if the Dolphins win the Super Bowl. I think he'd gladly acquiesce. Am I
I did
right?
see his wedding picture, by the way.
Okay.
While doing my thorough research on his relationship and his wife, I did stumble onto his his mother-in-law's Facebook page where I saw a wedding picture of Mike McDaniel. His wife looked gorgeous, by the way, just absolutely gorgeous, which I don't think is too surprising, but it is wedding day. It's a special day.
Yeah, I guess.
Mike looked quite tan.
Sorry. Okay.
Mike looked quite tan.
And this is the part where I should mention the fact that the Dolphins did not practice today, even though they had a mini bye. Well, we have to segue back, and I mean, you want to keep going on the
no,
Mike McDaniel's love life?
Found his wedding attire totally not fitting of Mike McDaniel, but hey, you wear what you wear at a wedding.
Yes, you do.
It wasn't as stylish as Mike would be. It's a little baggy.
Or maybe he developed a swag a little bit later.
That is true. His wife is kind of a stylista.
Okay, so there you go. Maybe she brought him along to that side. Anyway, as I was mentioning, getting back to football, Dolphins did not practice. A little music in the background here. Dolphins did not practice on Monday after their mini bye. McDaniel did say he liked the idea of the couple of extra days off because there were a lot of people in the building getting treatment for various bumps and bruises. Mentioned Jalen Phillips is winding down the process of picking a surgeon and a surgery date.
And a surgical procedure. That's just...
Yeah, it's a repair.
Wishing him the best. Emmanuel Ogbah actually spoke today. Talked about how disappointing this season has been for him, how his teammates have continued to pick him up and lift him up. Not bad for a guy who's got 4 sacks and an interception, even though he's played less than 160 snaps on defense. His snap to production ratio is pretty high. But he talked about the transition and to being a stand-up outside linebacker and the fact that it's been tough. But now he knows he has to step up. His teammates kept him focused because they always said to him, "We're going to need you. Keep in it. Stay in the mental." And he's done that. And here he is. Now he's not expected to start. I think that's going to be Andrew Van Ginkel. But I think we could see maybe Van Ginkel hang on to that inside linebacker role on third downs and then Emmanuel Ogbah come onto the field as a pass rushing linebacker in that situation. Yeah, you're like, don't
Well,
like it.
you know why I'm shaking my head? Because I looked at the 3 games that Jalen Phillips missed earlier this year when he had the back and the oblique issues. And if you look at the snap counts, it's not like Emmanuel Ogbah's snap count went significantly up.
He was up at like 15. He was like 15 in a 15 per game ratio. That's pretty much.
Sometimes they're low 20. That's not a ton of snaps. I mean, this is why I think it's going to be.
If you're in a third down specific role, 15 a game is reasonable.
Well, here's the thing, though.
You disagree?
15 snaps? No, 15 snaps is not a whole lot of.
On defense as a third down
The
pass?
number of times they're going to be in a pure pass rushing. But the thing with the Dolphins is they don't utilize a 4-man front. Even where in passing situations, they always have the 2 edge defenders. So it's usually either they're in a 2-4 or in a 3-4 or a 2-4-5 or whereas under the previous regime, there were times when they would do 4 across. And this is where Emmanuel Ogbah, right? He's kind of in between in no man's land here with this new scheme because that's what he is. He's a 4-3 guy. We should also mention that Derek Barnett, per sources as we're taping this, was claimed off waivers by the Houston Texans. And I don't know how many teams would have claimed him, although remember at this time of year, the claiming priority order works by the standings. The worse off you are, the higher your waiver claim is. And Dolphins at 8-3, this is where their good record hurts them because they're probably, I don't know how many teams have worse record, and that's not many. Therefore, you're looking at a whole bunch of teams who would have first dibs at Derek Barnett, just strictly claiming him off waivers if they wanted him. But yeah, this is a great opportunity for Ogbah. Certainly would love to see him, prosper, succeed, complement Van Ginkel in that spot opposite Bradley Chubb. And they're going up against a Washington team that is giving up sacks like Oprah gives up. What does she get? What does she give out when she does something? You get a, Oprah does, you get a sack, you get a sack, you get a sack.
58 to Sam Howell, which is just ridiculous. I got to do the math. What's 58 per game? Oof.
They haven't had their bye yet, so they played 12 games. That's a little under 5 per game. Under 5 sacks per game.
How do you not have a bye at this point in the year? Goodness gracious.
They don't even have a bye. They don't have a bye this week either. They are one of the 2 teams that have the final buys. I think it's next week, and I don't know who the other team is. There's 6 teams have a bye this week, including the Ravens and the Bills. Yep.
They're at 4.8 sacks allowed per game. Ooh,
that's a lot.
That's a lot. We also talked to Christian Wilkins, who talked about his sack productivity and career high. And Christian,
you talk about this?
No, you know what? No, but he's staying in the process. Christian's locked in. He's focused on the season. He's not thinking about that.
No, not thinking.
$24 million price tag that he's going to have. The $100 million in guaranteed money that he'll probably demand. But Christian's locked in as well. He was one of the individuals who basically said, this isn't going to be the same as last year because our focus is different. Our commitment to the process is different. What?
Does that mean the commitment wasn't there last year? I mean, come on. This is why I will speak concrete. I will give you schedule, health.
I will give you emotions, feelings.
The defense is playing better, but saying that the commitment to the process is different.
I think they understand the process a little bit differently now. They understand it a little bit better too.
What does that mean?
What does that mean?
What does that mean?
You sound like what song is that where they say, what does that mean? It's a Kanye song, but somebody says, what does that mean? It means it's provocative.
Nice segue.
You wouldn't know a Kanye song.
No, I do know a couple of Kanye songs, and in fact, I played one when you were with me in Houston. So
that is true. True. I apologize. Not that Kanye's coming back out. I'm curious how that's going to go. But back to the topic at hand, which is what's I think what makes this 8-3 different is last year they were on fumes physically. Mike McDaniel has made sure that he's rested and preserved just about everybody that he could possibly do so to ensure that they finish the season stronger than they start. And even players said, Jeff Wilson basically was like, yeah, that final stretch of games, those are going to be like elimination games, which means that Mike McDaniels has hammered in their head that, we need to be peaking at the right time. What's that face for? But you just keep making
I'm
faces.
sorry. I don't. That to me, that's
you don't buy it.
No, I don't buy it. And again, tangible reasons. Schedule's easier. They have a better defense. Tua hasn't had the previous dings physically. Overall, sorry.
Still got to lock in. Still got to lock in and take care of business.
Correct, but this is we're suggesting that they didn't finish well last year because they weren't locked in. They didn't believe in the process. They didn't follow the process. Not buying it. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey, I mean, I didn't cover the team last year, so I wasn't in the locker room. Their December was clearly a disappointment. I do not know the reasons why it was a disappointment and why the team continued to fail. I did want to ask Mike McDaniel today. He's always used December as a reference point for the greatest learning opportunities and being thankful that it happened to them because of the lessons that it provided. Now the question is, we'll see the outcome of whether or not those 5-game losing streak taught them lessons that they can utilize now to get a better outcome for the season. We shall see.
No, and I'm not like I know it's coming. Yes, I'm the contrarian and all that.
You mean you're poo-pooing their?
Well, this is what the coach is going to say. I mean, he's going to say we weren't. And actually, the truth is they weren't as good last year as they were this year. They're a much better team right now than they were last year. And another factor, I mentioned the injuries as well. Beyond the fact that Tua hasn't been dinged so far this year, knock, knock, knock. They also had lost at this time last year Emmanuel Ogbah, Nick Needham, Brandon Jones, and Trey Flowers from the defense. None of whom is as good a player as Jalen Phillips was this year, but that's a lot of depth from your defense. This year they've had a lot of injuries, but they haven't lost anybody for the season other than Jalen.
Isaiah Wynn.
Sorry, Isaiah Wynn. Okay, fair enough. But that to me, that's more tangible than saying I don't think they lost last year because they weren't prepared or they got overconfident or anything like that. I don't think it's a lot more basic than that they weren't quite as good as they are this year, and that's why I think they'll have a lot better chance to succeed than they did last year, because I think their focus is going to be just the same.
Well, we shall see, starting with the Washington Commanders. Mm-hmm. Then we take it to the Tennessee Titans, ran by Will Levis, not Ryan Tannehill. So Tannehill's revenge is out the window unless he suffered what Levis suffers an injury. And then the New York Jets. And then the season's fun starts with that Dallas, Baltimore, Buffalo stretch. So hopefully they can continue to trend upwards and show everybody what this team is made of. Obviously, I think that they've got to play better. They've got to get better quarterbacking play. I wrote a column about that you can find on alldolphins.com. To me, Tua is not playing at the level of my expectations. Right now, he's probably the 4th highest rated quarterback in the NFL. And while that's cool and great, Tua deserves to be or should be up there number 1 or number 2. And I think that he's got to get to that next level if they want to unlock the Super Bowl level of performance that they need to be at. And I wrote about that on alldolphins.com. Also wrote about Andrew Van Ginkel and Emmanuel Ogbah likely filling the void for Jalen Phillips. And we will be writing a number of other pieces, as Poupard, writes about 5 a day, if not 6.
And my last word here, after thanking everyone for watching this, we do appreciate the support. Please pass the word along. Please subscribe, like all that good stuff. Speaking of the Washington Commanders, tomorrow, Tuesday, is Behind Enemy Lines Day. We're going to be joined by my buddy, a radio talk show host in Washington, Chris Rooster Russell.
Does he go by
Until then,
Rooster?
sorry,
Does he go by Rooster?
he goes by Rooster. I wouldn't
Okay.
have thrown it out there if he didn't go by Rooster. So.
All right. We've also got 1st and 10s up with Teron Armstead and Cam Smith. And if you missed Mike White, we put that up last week. So look for those. Obviously, 1st and 10. It's a what do you call a labor of love that I do and we do for you. So hopefully you'll check those out. On that note, we will see you tomorrow for the for the Behind Enemy Lines.